Your perspective changes relative to the frame which you see things. I think looking back a year, everyone out there can say, wow, I never would have thought in a million years we would be at the edge of a new golden age of conservatism. It seemed like a year ago things were hopeless and that we were headed down a very dark path. Things couldn't be better. I counseled people for the last year, vote every day with your feet. Vote every day with your money and your choices. And boy, has it made a difference. Who would have had Virginia flipping red in the governor's office on their bingo card? I don't think anybody would have saw that. I don't think anybody would have seen Florida being the tip of the spear for a return to constitutional states' rights governance. Somebody would have probably picked Tennessee or Texas or Missouri. But boy, what difference this year has made. We are on the edge of a new golden age. Over on the left, they are collapsing in on themselves. They have no idea what direction to go. Their entire worldview has been turned upside down. Who saw Saturday Night Live last night? I know most of you don't watch it, but there was a clip where they talked about abortion, where they were literally off the rails, and even one of the guys sitting in the clip was literally shell-shocked at what was being said. They couldn't believe it. People who thought that they were the party of moderation and the Big Tent party, they're just stunned as to who they were standing with. Back in 2010, our governor wrote a book, Dreams from Our Founding Fathers, First Principles in the Age of Obama. And in here it talks about how the left was moving that direction, and it would end badly. And people would be forced to stand up and make a choice. Now, as an example, I found this on Twitter this morning, and it's what kind of got me down this road. It's a picture that when you look at it from two different perspectives, you see an entirely different message. Now here, of course, what we're looking at is one of those places you get off the highway, and there's all sorts of restaurants and fuel stops and hotels. It's I'm looking at one of the pictures. It's 30 East, where 70 and 76 meet. Not exactly sure, but people would look at this and go, oh my goodness, look at all the commercialism. McDonald's and Shell and Exxon and Sunoco and Taco Bell, and we're just overpopulated. There's too many people and too much of a concrete jungle. Wait until you see the picture from another angle. That's right. See, this is looking at it from a completely different angle, from a different perspective. This is the same place. This is the exact same place. Big, rolling hills full of trees and wilderness. It doesn't look so horrible now, does it? This is just looking kind of the other direction. Here's that McDonald's sign. Here's the Shell sign right here. It doesn't quite look so bad. And just like from a year ago, when people were thinking, oh my gosh, things are going to be terrible, and Joe Biden, and there was a tweet that also got put out this morning. Somebody said, Joe Biden is doing a tremendous job. I agree. He's doing a tremendous job of destroying the leftist agenda for this country and handing this country into the hand of conservatives starting in 2022. Actually, now, really. For a generation. All these kids, and I feel for them and I pray for them every day, they have to deal with this masking nonsense. They're going to be adults. They're going to be adults, and they're going to look back 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, at who put them through that nightmare. Who forced them to go through that living hell? And they're not going to see Republicans. They're not going to see conservatives. The Democrats have done something to themselves that is going to destroy their hopes of anything going forward. Who would have thought this would have occurred? Within a year, people would have thought, well, man, for there to be any real conservative movement, we need to have Trump at the helm. He needs to be in D.C. The exact opposite has happened. The fact that Biden has done such a bad job has led to people taking their states back. And who would have thought Virginia, big state, literally right on the border of Washington, D.C., where all the D.C. liberal types live, just had their world rocked. The headline on CNN was, Biden returns to a nightmare. It was like that for 2 days. This guy came out of nowhere. And even with the help of the mainstream media, even with the help of big tech, even with the help of everything they could muster, they still couldn't win. And who would have thought also the head of NASCAR would have revealed himself now to be a big flaming liberal? That's right, NASCAR president putting the brakes on the Let's Go Brandon chant. See, people would have thought, oh my gosh, NASCAR, that's definitely all conservative. The guy in charge, though, not so much. He's gotten his little feelings hurt. He's steering away from the Let's Go Brandon chant and will pursue legal actions against any entity using its trademark. The phrase used to ridicule or insult President Joe got it started NASCAR event, blah, 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 Kelly Stavast, everybody knows the story. I saw this picture too, and I really thought it was funny because this little duck represents the left. See, people see this and they, the way it looks like this little tiny duck blew the gates off this. No. Now, the gates got blown off. The gates, there's no closing the gates of hell. They're off the hinges. And it's time to run. For the left, they have only one choice, and it's run. Now, another picture, a bit more enjoyable, that talks about perspective. This is a quote from Sophia Loren from 1965. Quote, I'd rather eat pasta and drink wine than be a size 0. Now, I don't think anybody would look at Sophia Loren and think, oh my gosh, she needs to lose some weight. Now look at this in modern perspective. The woman on the left, runway model, 6-figure model. The person on the right, now celebrated by the left as, the new image of what Americans really are. Is either one right? Is either one correct? No. See, it's all about perspective. You see this by itself and you think one thing, you see it in perspective of others, and a whole new idea comes out. That maybe there's some place we haven't thought we are that we really are. And by the way, speaking of places and wondering, I wonder what happened to these two. Golly, I haven't seen him in such a long time. The man on the left, I think it's been 11 days since he's been seen in public. I wonder if it could have anything to do with... Oh, nah, that couldn't possibly be. Nah. Sound historians know that most tyrannies have been possible because men moved too late. It is often essential to resist a tyranny before it exists. It is no answer to say, with a distant optimism, that the scheme is only in the air. A blow from a hatchet can only be parried while it is still in the air. G.K. Chesterton. Tyranny, the hatchet of, at least in parts of this country, has been parried. The blow hadn't fallen like it has in Australia, where they're terrified. where it's going to have to get really ugly before things get better. And I'm afraid that's going to be the case in California, in Michigan, in Minneapolis. See, there's even liberals starting to complain now. Lifelong Democrats starting to complain and starting to understand that things are not as they seem. And who would have had also on their bingo card? It would have been white, suburban women that fired really the first shot in this war. White, suburban women in Virginia won that race. The flip, CNN was literally apoplectic when they saw the numbers from the exit polls. Because somebody came after their kids. Wait until those kids become adults, guys. Wait until those kids become adults. This country is not going to be liberal or Democrat in our lifetimes. Again, this will be the last hurrah for that. They've called Florida God's waiting room as this country gets older. And now as it comes out of this whole mess of the last 2 years, things are going to get a lot better. Truly. Your perspective will change relative to the frame which you see things. And I can't imagine things having gone any better looking back. Look at all the states that have stood up. Texas has stood up. South Carolina, Florida. All of the state. Virginia has literally changed its governor. This huge wave of conservatism. New Jersey. Of all states, New Jersey, they have a governor's race. Pardon me. That's too close. Well, I guess they've called it now, apparently, for the Democrat. But it shouldn't have even been close. Some people have said if so many people hadn't left New Jersey and moved to Florida, New Jersey would have a governor that's a conservative. You see, people are changing their minds. People are changing their minds, and that's why they're coming to Florida. There are people coming to Florida from liberal states. They're not coming here to make them liberal. They're not coming here to make them liberal. They're coming here because Florida's not liberal. Nobody moves and leaves their home, picks up and leaves their home to go someplace they see as worse to make it better. That's not what liberals do. They try to get people other places to agree with them. But as far as, they go, the liberals, they stay in their little hovels where they know they control everything, but those hovels are shrinking. And they see the walls closing in. And that's why they're reacting like a bunch of idiots. And like Sun Tzu said, when your enemy's making a mistake, don't interrupt him. And I'll leave it there. God bless. Have a happy Veterans Day. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.